I'm glad that we've been able to get you on. You're in the
Yeah.
studio at the moment, are you?
Yes, I am actually. You can see behind me. That's Rome Ramirez right there from Sublime.
Oh wow. In
Yeah,
the
he's right behind
flesh.
me. Yeah, that's him. He's recording a record for. He produced an album for an artist that I'm working with too. I work with Rome, and uh, his name is Sully, and we have a project coming out called Sullivan. He's an older gentleman, and he has a 10-piece band, and we literally have in that room, we've got Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers drummer, Steve Ferroni,
Wow.
Nathan East, who is Shania Twain. He's leaving to go play with Shania Twain on the Super Bowl. We have Gabriel McNair from No Doubt. Like, this album is crazy. It's coming. It's going to catch people off guard. So we're out here in El Paso, Texas, for 2 weeks in this beautiful studio, and just laying down a record.
You've your whole career you've sort of been around such high caliber of musicians and whatnot. What's it like? Is it you still get the buzz being in the studio, obviously, with these guys? Does it still blow you away?
Yeah, it does. I mean, having breakfast. I'm at the breakfast table this morning with Steve Ferroni, and if you look him up, you will trip out. He was telling me how he met Bob Marley and toured with Bob Marley, and how his band opened for Bob Marley. And I'm sitting here just going, I'm like eating my breakfast. I'm like, what the? How did I get here? like, like, how is this even possible? And then prior to that, I was having coffee with Rome, and we were talking about kids
Yeah.
and stuff. So no, I'm really, I pinch myself. I don't know. I don't know all this because I'm a surfer, and I like music, and 25, 30 years later, I'm still doing this. It just blows my mind.
When you're hanging out in the studio like you are now, do they lean on you? Do they ever go, "Hey, Rick, does this sound all right?"
Well, when it all comes together, because I'm kind of more like in the studio. I'm like just wallpaper. I mean, that's not what I do. I don't know how to make records. I don't know, but I do know how to put things together. I just see things like, hey, let's put Sully with Rome, and Rome could bring this guy, and all of a sudden everyone's into the idea. And next thing you know, we have a project. So, but when it comes to making the record, I just sit there, man. I don't say anything until it all comes together, and they look at me like, it's hooky, huh? It's catchy, huh? You like those cats? Because they know that's stuff that I can then take to the label, and I'm gonna be this. I can make it happen. But what happens in these rooms, I don't have anything. I'm just there for support. Um, but it's really cool for me to, I'm out here for 2 weeks. I'm
Yeah.
living in my camper van right outside that door, and we're just here, and there's nothing around. The Mexican border is a mile and a half down a dirt road. The fence goes through the property.
Wow.
It's like, so I ride my bike down there, and it's just like, it's Juarez, Mexico. It's one of the most dangerous places in the world, is right there. And I don't know, it's just really bizarre. And this studio, the guy, it's like this crazy creation. We're on a pecan farm, and it's 2,000 acres. The guy sells pecans, and he has, his hobby is to build this studio, and he's all these studios here, and they're
Yeah.
like, some are underground. He's got these, just every instrument you can imagine, and he's got crazy paintings. And I don't know, it's pretty trippy. And they make you dinner every night. They fold your laundry, like you're never hungry.
Unreal. That you look
Weird.
well looked after.
Yeah, yeah. And we're getting hammered in Southern California right now, like, crazy rainstorms right now. So it's all sunny here and nice. So, but a little creepy, but it's nice.
Hey, you get around a bit. You were just in Mexico doing a bit of surfing, and we were trying to get the interview going then, and then you
I
sort
know.
of you're on the move all the time.
Yeah. I just got to keep moving, man. Got to keep
Yeah.
moving. I love surfing. And yeah, we have a house down in mainland Mexico, and we go there every holiday and just surf our brains out and have a good time. And but I knew this trip was coming right after that, so yeah, just in work mode, and it's good. We're getting ready for. I got a lot. I manage 4 bands, and we got records coming out. I got South by Southwest coming up. Like my touring is just like, I don't know, it's pretty crazy. I get the touchdown for about a week and a half when I get back, and then do Valentine's Day with my wife, and then like just back on the road, with my other bands. So
You gave me a great gift a couple of weeks ago.
oh,
I was talking to you about, through email and whatnot, about the bands you're looking after, and Sitting on Stacy. This is a band I'd never
oh,
heard of before. And as soon as I heard them, I was like, wow. And I had to play them on this podcast that week. I was like,
oh,
these guys are
yeah.
incredible. They're so young, but they've been around for so long. And I really love their latest single. I only heard the video that they uploaded on Instagram for Tokyo. And I was like, oh, when's this song going to be released? And it was the next song that they released. But geez, they're an amazing band.
Oh, yeah, they've got a very interesting story. As a matter of fact, Tokyo, Rome, right behind me, produced that
Okay. Yeah.
single. We did that in Nashville, and I also brought in Pierre Bouvier from
Oh,
Simple
okay.
Plan.
Is he on
Yeah,
that song?
he worked on. He's on the song Creme Brulee.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. I love that one
Creme
too.
Brulee. Yeah. So our record's coming out February 23rd, and the boys have been working on this record for a while. It's the
Mm.
pre-COVID, COVID, post-COVID album release. They're just frothing to get out, and we got some good. We're going out with this band called Surfer Girl, which is pretty sick, and we're doing some dates around that release, and these guys are just pumped. The record it's awesome, man. But they've got a great story. They were discovered by the Jonas Brothers.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, on TikTok or something, and Joe Jonas reached out. He's like, "Hey, I got this record label, and I want to talk to you guys." And they're like, "Yeah, who's this? Like, who's this? Yeah, what? Yeah, right." And they thought it was just a joke, but it turned out to be him. And fast forward, gosh, man, I had the band touring with the Jonas Brothers in America and in Mexico. I mean, we're playing these arenas in Mexico City and Monterrey with
All right.
Jonas Brothers, and it was like basically it felt like it was our own show. It literally felt like it was our own show. Like, so yeah, they've done some fun things, and but this record's their record, so yeah.
To give you an extra boost when you find a new band like Sitting on Stacy, you've been around, you've been a manager of bands for so long, and then you find another gem, another diamond. Like,
Yeah, always got to keep looking, Sean.
yeah,
You got to keep looking for new music, right?
yeah, yeah, and
Although I found myself today, just I was out there, we're all hanging out. Just it was around 4 o'clock. Rome cracked a beer. I'm sitting there with Nathan East. Nathan East. He's gonna be on the Super Bowl. Like he's playing.
yeah,
Him and his son. His son is recording on this record too. Noah East. They're playing with Shania Twain at the Super Bowl, and we're just sitting there listening to the specials. So I mean, I'm like going back, and then I found myself listening to The Cure today, and I'm like, yeah, this new stuff's great. I love it, but I can't get it. I always go back to listening to the specials or something like that. I don't know why. It's just my comfort, but it's fun finding new bands.
yeah, I love it. I kind of like see it as my own challenge. I love to be that guy in the group that's like, hey, you heard of this band? And then like a few heads turn and they go, oh wow, they're all right. Like it still is an
Yeah,
exciting thing for me.
yeah, because if you say that and they get big, you always have that claim.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, when you think about managing bands and stuff, why did you start doing this?
Why did I start managing bands? Well, I started first as a promoter, and I got into promoting because I'm a surfer, and I just started throwing surf movie premieres, and then the bands on the surf movies, the soundtracks started like, approaching me. Hey, will you help us out? Will you get us some shows and things like that? And then I became a promoter, and I met a lot of cool bands. And then my first band I ever managed was a band called Unwritten Law.
No, them.
And yeah, and I managed them for a while, and they're awesome punk rock band. from San Diego, and we did some really fun stuff. Like I helped them get, their first shows out of San Diego. I remember in particular we got them because I was a promoter. I had relationships with the agents and all the other bands, and I was promoting like Rancid and Offspring and NoFX and all the iconic 90s punk bands. Not Green Day. I didn't have them until later, but like Sublime, No Doubt, those bands. So I was getting all these cool bands. They were small. They were only drawing like 400 or 500 people. And so the bands would come to me, and then I started kind of marrying up like the band with the surf movie, and then like, oh, I'm going to throw a show. And then I started promoting shows that weren't surf related, just kind of regular. And then next thing I know, I'm managing Unwritten Law, and I'm placing them. I got them their first show in LA with Rancid at the Whiskey A Go Go. That was really cool. And then Las Vegas, Phoenix, Arizona, just kind of trying to set some fence posts like outside of San Diego. And I started gaining some traction with it. It really was taking off. Unwritten Law was getting popular. Warped Tour was around. Punk rock was really starting to flourish in the mid 90s. And being a promoter, I actually ended up working for a big promoter in San Diego named Bill Silva. Super cool dude, super smart. Gosh, man, he was promoting like everything from small clubs to like the Rolling Stones and like where the San Diego Padres played, everything. So I kind of ran the club division, of the punk rock and just the rock bands and stuff. And so all of a sudden I had this like ability and budget to like, I'm going to do a show. I'm going to put a show together. And I would just be like, all right, the Vandals, let's call Unwritten Law. Let's call Incubus. Let's call, and we just stack these bills together. And I have the flyers. Like I still have them, you're just like Sublime, Incubus, Blink, you know what I mean? Like at a 500 cap room.
It's like a dream lineup. It's just crazy to think. And then you're talking about 500 cap rooms, you couldn't do that now.
They were just like any other band that was struggling. They showed up with one guitar and their mom's station wagon. I worked real closely with Mikey from Incubus, and Mikey actually ended up, I hired him to be my flyer guy for LA. Mikey, writing all the brains behind a lot of the songs from Incubus. And I grew up surfing with all those guys in Malibu.
So is he designing the flyers, or is he taking the flyers around and putting them on?
No. I would have at Bill Silva, we had a graphic artist, so I would just get the flyers and ship them up to LA. I'd get them to him, and he'd go hang out at like all the seediest freaking venues in Hollywood.
Wow.
And he'd be like, all right, dude, I hit the Descendant show, or I hit the Circle Jerks, or I hit, Jane's Addiction played, or, whatever it was in the 90s. I don't remember. Rage Against Machine just played, a 1,500 cap club, or the Hollywood Palladium. And he'd be out there. I'd pay him his $100, and I don't know. It's so cool. And then I used to promote Incubus too in San Diego, and it was really great. And, they really helped me out 2 years ago. It was so cool, man. I mean, years have gone by, and they got so big, and they were going on tour with Sublime with Rome, summer Shed tour. And I just hit them all up. I'm all bros. Like I've been to like Tavarua, Fiji with them a bunch of times. And, we're all surfers. And I was like, man, it'd be so cool if you could put this girl band I managed called the Aqua Dolls on your tour. And they're like, well, send me some clips. And they came back, man, we thought about it, dude. We love you. And hell, you can have the whole tour. I was like, oh shit. Like it was like that easy. It was just like solid dudes in Incubus. I mean, those guys are so pro. Watching every one of those. I mean, Jose, Brandon, I don't know. They're just incredible show. And then I'm on tour with Sublime with Rome, and then there's Eric Wilson and Rome and Gabriel, Carlos, Gabriel, and then sitting there just because I promoted No Doubt a bunch of times in my earlier days, and so I knew Gabriel from No Doubt, and I'm like, all right, dude, what's the latest scoop on Gwen? What's going on in her world? Because he tours with her.
Yeah, right.
He's like telling me all
they're
this.
back now too.
And No Doubt is back, and I believe they're playing Super Bowl because Gwen, I think they are, but Gabriel's flying here for one night to record on this record. Okay. And he's going straight to Super Bowl. We have 2 Super Bowl players that are recording in this record.
Yeah, right now.
We have Nathan East and his son Noah, actually 3, Nathan and Noah East, and they're going to play with Shania Twain. And then Gabriel is going to play with Gwen or No Doubt. I'm not sure if it's going to be, what it is, but that's kind of trippy when you think about that. And let's run right now. Hold on, let's see. Let me see if I can give him the wave.
We're looking around the studio now. Oh, tapping.
Oh, soundproof.
Bugger. Damn, soundproofing ruins everything.
Hey, he's waving to you.
Oh, he's waving. Hello. Hello. Oh, that's cool. That is awesome.
So our engineer, he's just sitting in here. His name's Jerry. And this morning we're just like, and then the intern girl, the 20-year-old girl who's working here, she's like, hey, did you hear Jerry won 2 Grammys last night? And I'm like, Jerry, our engineer? She's like, yeah, he won 2 Grammys. So I walk in there, I'm like, what's up, dude? He's like, hey, how you doing, Bill? And I'm like, congratulations. And he's like, oh, so thanks, man.
He's not there. He's hanging out with you guys.
So we've got Super Bowl people. We've got freaking Grammy winners here. We've got, I don't know.
You're in
this
good
album
company.
is nuts.
Yeah.
This album is crazy. To be honest with you, I've never in my entire career have had a kind of a lineup like this. I remember with Blink, we had Robert Smith come on. That was really cool.
Yeah. Hey, it's funny.
But he recorded that in England though.
Yeah.
So he never really showed up.
That was on the self-titled, I believe.
It was on self-titled, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny that, he wasn't at the Grammys. Like, he just loves music so much, just has to be in the studio. Like, who cares? What's
and
the
not
Grammys?
1, but 2.
Yeah.
And we're at dinner the other night, and you got to understand, like, you're in Australia, so I don't know if you have these. Well, have you ever been to Disneyland?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, we have there's a thing in Disneyland called the Haunted Mansion.
Right.
And it's super awesome. It's like one of the best rides in Disneyland. It's a legit haunted house. And that's kind of like what this dining hall is like in a lot of the rooms here. So we're sitting there eating dinner with all these players around this round table, candlelit dinner, very low light, and just listening to the rock and roll stories from the Stevie, because the guys here, Nathan East, and Greg Fillinganes. We have Stevie Wonder's guy. Like, they're sitting here, but Greg Fillinganes on keys, Nathan East, and Steve Ferroni, they all recorded Billie Jean for Michael Jackson.
Oh my God.
And then they were playing it the other night.
It's a wow moment, isn't it? Like, your head must nearly explode when you're sitting there, you're watching that happen in front of you.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like, wow, hanging out with Fat Mike got me all the way to here.
Hey, you were talking about the surf movies, and I'd like to slightly touch on that. They were just so instrumental in bringing punk rock to the level that it got to, right? They sit parallel, these surf movies and the punk rock music, almost the same as like the games like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I know that helped out a lot of punk bands, but that's amazing to see. And you were there basically putting it together.
So I was looking at some of your past guests, and one in particular caught my eye. And this band I'm about to tell you, and this other band called the Untouchables, were in the mid 80s on a soundtrack called Beyond Blazing Boards. And the band was called the Hoodoo Gurus.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw that on your list of it.
Yeah.
And the Hoodoo Gurus were on this surf movie called Beyond Blazing Boards with the Untouchables. And in the 80s, when I was like 15, as a surfer, we're watching Aki, the pride of Australia.
Mm.
And and just listening to the soundtrack on these VHS tapes, like over and over and over again. And those songs are just so iconic. In the Hoodoo Gurus, Gang of Jang, some of these iconic Australian bands, even to this day, I listen to them a lot. And so I kind of like, when I was in high school at that time, and those songs were so crazy. And then I started putting on some surfing, some competitions. And then in the early 90s, it led to surf movie premieres. But then a surf movie guy named Taylor Steele came out and created these Momentum movies. And those are the ones that I put the tours together for in Australia with Pennywise and Blink and in those bands, Body Jar and I think Frenzal Rhomb, and some of the classic Aussie bands. And but I got all of my footprint, like my blueprint on how to do these surf tours was based off of Chris Bystrom's movies, Beyond Blazing Boards from the 80s, that had the Gurus and the Untouchables. Wow. And then I just modernized it in the 90s and put in the punk rock bands. And that's where Blink was birthed, was from there.
So that's such a cool little, I mean, there's no way I would have thought that the Hoodoo Gurus sort of inspired what you did with putting punk rock music in, because the Gurus are awesome, man. Like, and another thing I'm also amazed by is in America, we're never too sure how, like in Australia, we've got heaps of big Australian bands, but you always often wonder how much they're cared about overseas. I know Men at Work were big, In Excess.
In Excess.
Yeah, over in America. But I know the Hoodoo Gurus, they tour America a lot, but I wasn't sure on how big they are.
Clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like for me, the Gurus, Gang of Jang. You heard of Gang of Jang?
Yes.
Gang of Jang? Yeah. Gang of Jang. In Excess, like you said, and Men at Work. Now, those four were the 80s, the big 80s one for me. The 90s punk bands, I mean, I love Body Jar were awesome, those guys.
Yeah.
But the band that really, like in the 90s and 2000s for me was the Living End. Like hands down.
One of my all-time favorites. Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't really talked to those guys. I put them on a lot of tours in America, but that band was incredible. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of miss that band. I don't know what happened to them.
The way Chris can play the guitar, the singer, the way he does, and sing at the same time, I've always just looked at in amazement. And they're all three of those guys are just so incredibly talented.
Well, I really always, I mean, who didn't like the Stray Cats, and they just had like their modern take on that. And I just saw Lee Rocker. I actually had Sully's band open for Lee Rocker in just north of San Diego in December. And it was so cool. I mean, I know Brian Setzer wasn't there and stuff, but my gosh, dude, the guy was like, the original stand-up bass player of the Stray Cats. It was just so cool to watch him play. And then, and I just had flashbacks to Living In on tour. And I don't know, it was just, it's really bitching. I like Living In. They were awesome. I mean, I don't even know if they're still a band anymore. I haven't seen them or.
They are. They're still going, and they're still playing all the time in Australia. Yeah.
Wow. That's so big. I haven't been to Australia in a while. I got to get back. I was going there a lot with Blink. I broke Blink there first.
This is what I was going to get to. I feel like Australia has these, like Blink are actually here I think they're here next week. They're going to be playing first time with Travis in a very long time. Going to that show, it's going to be awesome. They've got shows all over. I think they've been selling them out. It's just crazy. It's phenomenal. Everyone's talking about it at the moment. But Australia has such a big part in their story, don't they? You brought them.
Oh yeah.
You brought them here, and I mean, take it away. What happens once you get here?
It all really started from my obsession with surfing. And I just was like, wow, I can get these territories excited about my bands because punk rock was really starting to get, it was like, if it was punk rock, cool, we'll take it. Give me all the punk rock you can give us. So I convinced Pennywise's agent to put a package together with the bands from the Surf movie. And we also had the surfers with us. So we all flew over. It was like freaking 30 of us, you know, just flying from LAX to Sydney. Actually, I think the first place we landed was in Sydney. I think it was actually the Goldie. And yeah, just Fletcher Draghi from Pennywise, like bringing a CO2 cartridge, Uzi BB gun, and it goes right through customs. And they open it up and look at it, and they're like, "What is this?" And you know, and we're like, "Take it away, take it away."
I had Fletcher on the show. I had Fletcher on the show about 2 months ago, and he brought up the BB gun. I'm glad he's not. He wasn't lying.
No, that thing hurt. Oh. It was like, it was painful. But you know, Pennywise guys, they really got what I was trying to do, and really trying to, I mean, it's so hard to take an unknown band on tour, let alone take an unknown band on tour overseas and pay them. Like, just like, doesn't even happen anymore, you know? And so we took them over there, and so the Australia law was you had to have one Australia band for every American band. So we had band number 1, which was Grinspoon.
Oh yeah,
I think Grinspoon. Band number 2, Blink. Band number 3, Body Jar. Band number 4, Pennywise. And that was the lineup, and that was the tour. And we toured all over the place, you know, in every single town, including Perth, even Western Oz, which I just remember was the weirdest place ever. Perth and Anchorage, Alaska have a lot in common. Just a lot of people walking around like, it was weird. But that's how it was in 95. Or 96, whenever I was there. That first tour. But it was like, you know, I don't even know how to explain it. I mean, we're staying at the Ritz-Carlton, like where Michael Hutchence hung himself.
Yeah, right. Wow.
I was on the same floor in that Ritz-Carlton. I think it was in Sydney where it happened. Yeah. So, you know, we have no business in the Ritz-Carlton. I mean, we're hanging out, drinking VBs in the jacuzzi, and we're up there talking to all these like traveling backpackers or I don't know, remember, people are just traveling, and we're on the Ritz-Carlton jacuzzi. And I remember I had to keep getting, you know, get up and go pee. And after about like an hour and a half, I'm like, "Hey Fletcher, I just realized something. You're not getting up to go pee." And he just starts laughing. I'm like, "You son of a bitch." And he just was
in his pee
in the Ritz-Carlton jacuzzi with all of us in there. We're just like, ah.
And he's a big guy, could put away a lot of drink.
Yeah, that was fun. But that tour literally just set us up, you know, with Blink, set us up. And we were signed to an indie label in San Diego called Cargo Records, which had some sort of a affiliation with Mushroom.
Yep.
And we go over there, and next thing you know, like Mushroom starts paying attention to us. And then, so that was in December, and I'm like, we got to go back. So I got him back there like the following May, and we did our own headline tour.
That's incredible to think, in just so many months, from December to May, 6 months, you've gone from being the second band on the bill of a 4-band bill to coming back to the country that you didn't even think anyone would know them, to all of a sudden headlining. That's a remarkable turnaround in 6 months.
Oh, it's insane. And I think our first single, I mean, we got, you know, we were first really discovered in Australia first. I mean, where we got like real success. Like, they were playing San Diego. Yes, they were playing San Diego at a club called Soma, but on the side stage, not even the main stage. And Mike Halloran, very famous DJ in San Diego on 91X, he played M&M's. But Mushroom, Liza Birmingham and Damien and gosh, all the people at Mushroom, they liked they like took it like for real. I
Mm.
mean, we had Apple, I think Apple Shampoo was the second single. And I mean, it was nuts, dude. Like we were just like literally selling out, but the clubs were small.
Was this
They were
off the
like,
success of Carousel? Like is
oh, maybe it was Carousel.
which is the
I
song
can't.
at the moment that would probably be the one that you're sort of selling them?
I think Eminem's was first.
Oh, that's right. And then
I think, but I'm sure it was a long time ago. So,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, gee, that was a long time ago.
yeah,
It'll be this December will be the 30-year anniversary of when I took Blink to Australia.
incredible. And they've been back so many times, and it's just phenomenal how big they've gotten and how far they've grown. Um, I love this story, and I just want you to sum this up. What did you do with your first big paycheck, and what did Tom do with his first big paycheck? Because
Oh, there
it
is a
was it was a story after you guys got a bit of publishing money in, and you were
oh, yeah,
sensible. You were sensible with your share.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, yeah, no, I know I think I remember. Yes, we did. We got a publishing deal with EMI. And that was like in 90. When was that? Oh no, that was, yeah, it was like 98, 97, 1997, 98. And uh we got paid. It was like my first check. I was like, whoa, I think I got like a $10,000 check.
Yeah.
And and he got obviously more. And I went out and I bought a house with it. Like I put a down payment. I called Taylor Steele's mom as a real estate agent. I'm like, I want to buy my first house. And I bought an ocean view house in San Diego for $196,000, 10 grand down. And now San Diego is the most expensive city in the United States. That would never happen. My wife kicks me every day because I sold the house. And Tom went out and bought like a wicked stereo system from Circuit City.
Did he spend like the majority of the?
Dumbass.
That is so good. I love that so much.
Now he owns like a 40-bedroom house in Rancho Santa Fe. I don't know.
It's a palace.
Yeah.
Hey, I put up Urethra Chronicles the other day. Are you still doing any videos yourself? You know, with
Oh,
bands and stuff.
that's
and video?
funny. You brought up the Urethra Chronicles. So my buddy Devin, he's a chiropractor, and I hit him up. I'm like, dude, I kink my neck and I need your help. And so I go over there and he gives me adjustment. I look over on the table and there's a Urethra Chronicles VHS sitting there. And I go, whoa, dude, that's weird. Like, why do you have it? He's like,
Yeah.
no, Chris Cote had this, or someone was selling it. I don't know. They found someone was selling it at a garage sale. So they grabbed it for me to give to me.
Yeah. I still got the original.
Yeah, it was an original VHS.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't picked this up in like 20 years. And I'm looking at it, it's so big and weird looking. And my name's on it. And it was kind of sad because the guy who I worked on the film with, Jeff Motiel, he passed away last year from fentanyl.
Oh,
Shit's real.
Wow.
And that was really sad. And he worked on that whole movie with me. And, we had weeks of sitting in the control room making that and laughing. And his nickname was Dark Chocolate. And it was really sad. But when I saw his name and everything, yeah, I was like kind of heavy. So I told my kids, I'm like, have you guys ever seen this? Because like I never wanted them to see it. Because it was like, like now they're in their 20s and now I'll be like, you got to watch this. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's
I got a gold record for that.
Yeah.
A certified gold record award. Yeah.
Oh, it's a great doco, and it inspired a lot of people, I think, to take up music. Watching Blink get around in their tour bus and stuff. It's phenomenal.
I shot it, because I was hanging out with Taylor Steele so much. I basically was like stealing his like style of how he filmed surf movies, and I kind of like was looking at through the lens of how Taylor would film a surf movie. And I think I haven't watched the movie in 25 years, but I think Travis is in it. I can't even remember.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
he is.
Yeah,
I can remember him or Scott. It was like right, and it had been right when Travis got in the band.
Yeah. Hey, I don't want to keep you too long. I know that yeah, you're a very busy man at the moment, but
No.
take if you can take me back to uh that crazy period between 99 2001. It just seemed like pop music was going off, pop punk music was going off. It was a
Yeah.
crazy time for all the it was bands like Limp Bizkit, you know. What was it
Yeah.
like? Obviously, you were right with Blink 182 at the time. What was it like seeing them go from those small shows, those small venues, to all of a sudden all the small things comes out and they're the biggest band in the world, and they truly are, and I mean that. We know what happened. They were the
Yeah.
biggest
Yeah.
band in the world. What was that time period like?
Yeah. It it seemed at the time like it was just like gigantic, like but at the same time we were still like how like wait how what like I just want to give props to I felt like I chose wisely when when all these record labels were courting us. We had Epitaph, we had Interscope, and but MCA Records came to the table, and I sat down with Jay Boberg, the president, and and when I sat with these guys, dude, I'm like 24 years old.
Mm.
I'm just like interviewing presidents of companies. And I'm just a surfer kid who just graduated SDSU, but I knew what I had. I knew I had a really cool band with me. And so I sat down and I go, so tell me, like, Jay, like, I knew Brett Gurwitz's story and I love Bad Religion. I get it. Epitaph, Pennywise, NoFX, Rancid. I get it. Interscope blowing up. They had, NWAs and Dre's and, all that stuff was happening for them. But Jay Boberg sat me down and he's like, he goes, so my experience is I started a record label called IRS. And I like looked at him. I'm like, oh my gosh. I go, you started that? He's like, yeah. I'm like, so you worked all the Police records? I'm like, you worked all the Go-Go's records, the Specials? And I was just like, he's our guy.
Yeah.
This guy knows how to break a 3-piece because
Mm.
he worked the Police.
Right.
And so I'm like, guys, this is it. This is it. And I remember sitting at their old office in Universal Studios, and we were sitting in this back room, and he treated me like with respect. And he was probably 15, I don't know, 15, 20 years older than me. I can't remember, but maybe not even that much, maybe like, I don't know, whatever. And so we were sitting there, and he's like, we're gonna in their A&R guy is Gary Ashley. He's the one that started Mushroom Records. He was Aussie. So I'm sitting, and I love Australians because I love surfing, and it's just like I like how this weird thing. And so I remember like, okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay it out first with Dude Ranch and Damn It, and we're gonna make a video for you and pick your photographers and and everything they said they were gonna do, they did. The way it reacted, they said it was going to react, it did.
Mm.
And we just listened, and we brought our own flair to it. Like I remember for our first big photo shoot, I was the team marketing manager at Arnett Sunglasses, which was a real popular Sunny's brand in the 90s.
Yep.
And I got to hire the guy who was the main photographer, art director for Arnett to do our record photos, which I thought was cool because it kept it real because it was coming from the lens of a surfer. And so then we started working. They found some cool video directors, and this guy Darren Doan, who I'm still friends with to this day, wrote a treatment for Damn It in a movie theater in Hollywood, and which I was in, and I was the popcorn guy. That's and right, I got the girl. Yeah, and that's why the song went huge, because I was in the song.
You were in it. Yeah.
I'll tell you other songs and videos I'm in. They're all top hits. I'm just saying. But the song was it was in a time when radio and MTV were at the top of their game.
Yeah.
And a label like MCA had to prove themselves. They didn't really have anything big, although they've been around. Their nickname was Music Cemetery of America. So while everyone was going, oh, let's go to Epitaph, Offspring, huge hits, or let's go to Interscope, or, some of Warner Brothers or whatever, we went right. We're like, well, if we go here and we hit, we'll be a big fish on their roster. Or if we go to Epitaph, well, we're going to bow down to Bad Religion. We're going to be fifth in row.
Yeah.
You know?
That, yeah.
And so, but I had all the connections. We were touring with all the right bands. I mean, I'm getting calls from No Effects saying, hey, will you support us at the Hollywood Palladium? Like, we had the respect from the right punk bands. But then we had the power of a record label that was backed by Universal that had to prove something. So, man, I remember the first one. We had a radio station in Los Angeles that was the most influential station in the country, called K-Rock, KROQ. And every weekday night from at 9:00, it was called the Furious Five at 9, and they always played the upcoming bands. Like, that's where Silverchair was discovered. That's where, like, all the, probably Rage Against the Machine. And, like, I mean, they were very particular on who they played on Furious 5 at 9. They were the tastemakers of radio. Every station copied them in the United States.
I'm guessing anything they played in that period on the nightly show was gonna make it, kind of thing.
Very possible.
Yeah.
Very possible. So I remember I was like going to bed, because I go to bed early. And at 9:05, I get a call from one of my best friends, Paul Gomez, who was at the time running the team marketing program for Billabong. Calls me, he's all, holy shit, dude, congratulations. And I'm like, what? I hear him driving, and he's like, they're playing Damn It on the Furious 5 at 9 on K-Rock. Jed the Fish. Jed the Fish was the DJ. I was like, holy shit, that's big.
Like the Holy Grail.
And then, so if you made it on radio, then all of a sudden, radio was so hot at the time, all of a sudden, you got 10 ads the next morning. Like, oh, hold on,
from all these different stations. Yeah.
And so they would copy K-Rock and put it on their specialty show. And then it just started going boom, boom, boom. And then once it kind of made its way around the country, then it started in light rotation.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Australia, oh gosh, what was the radio station in Australia? The big radio that you guys have?
Was Triple J?
Triple J.
Yeah.
They already played Blink, like Eminem's. It was like they were already ahead of everybody.
They like that station is still like that this day. They're so like eager and on the hunt to find the thing that no one's playing at the moment that they believe is going to be the next big thing. That's like the Triple J mindset.
Put a word in for Sitting on Stacy.
I will do. I will do.
I'll get him over there. Well, and we'll hang out.
That'd be cool.
But that's what happened. And then all of a sudden, like, hey, we need to make a video. And then, okay, well, all right. So we made a video. We stayed up to, like, I remember driving home and the sun was coming up over the Hollywood sign. Never forget that. And then I don't know, 2 weeks later, I come home. I was working, I was managing the band, and I was also managing these surfers and these snowboarders and skaters at Arnett. Or at that time, I think I was working at Reef. And I can't remember which MTV show it was, but I want to say maybe it was TRL. There it is, man. 5 o'clock, the countdown of the new bands. I didn't even know it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Blink-182 in it, the new at number 10. I'm like, and there I am on television, me, the popcorn guy, singing.
I just picture that like a boulder rolling down a hill, the band, like you can't stop it now. It just seems like the next thing. It's just moving so quickly.
And Jay Boberg was just so great to work with. Like, his staff, I became very close with Darren Wolf, Paul Reskin, and all the guys at MCA, and Jade Simon, she passed away. Gary Ashley passed away. I don't know. It was just these guys. Just it became the dream team, and we had the momentum, and we had such a good relationship, and I fit in really well there, and they really liked working with me, and they helped me, and I helped them, and the band was totally down, and they were just so much fun to work with. Blink, at the time, and 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 then it just started getting so popular, and then then they had to go write their the next. I think we did Josie, which was the second single, and we had Darren Doan shoot that one too, and we had a actress Alyssa Milano in it.
Yeah,
and that was really fun, and a lot of our friends were in that video, and then we had to go. We went tour, did the Warped Tour. I mean, because I was a promoter, so I knew what shows to get them. That was really kind of a key thing. I mean, if I definitely helped a lot with that, because I just knew who to, I knew how to place them.
you've got to put them in front of the right kids, right? You've got to put them in front of the people that are going to care the most.
Yeah, and having been a promoter for so long, I just knew the tours to get, and I got us a really good agent, Rick Bondi, and he was running an agency called the Tahoe Agency at the time, and his assistant, who my daughter is her nanny today, Corey Christopher Martin. She went on and she books Imagine Dragons, and she's a big time agent for Wasserman, and she was Rick Bondi's assistant, and she would like pick us up. We'd go up and play shows in Lake Tahoe, and Rick Bondi had these cool bands, like this band called Sublime, and the Cherry Poppin' Daddies, and Skank and Pickle. He had all the ska bands. So I signed to him because we were the only punk band on his roster. And I liked always being in those positions, like being the only one,
Not having
kind
that
was
sort
like
of competition that's right next to
Yeah.
you kind of thing, because then obviously
Yeah.
it all just gets taken up, or they have to split their time with both bands. For example,
Yeah.
Green Day and Blink were together all the time.
Yeah. The agent at the time who had all the best punk bands was like Stormy Shepherd. She booked Rancid and NoFX and Offspring, and and everyone wanted Stormy to book you. If Stormy booked you, but and Andy Summers, I take that back. Andy Summers had Pennywise and Bad Religion and Circle Jerk. He was great too. I offered it to Andy, and he passed. And I saw him a year or so ago. He's like, man, bad decision to vote.
Yeah.
Bad. Like, I tried to tell you.
Yeah.
And but then Rick retired, and then I got inundated with calls from agencies. They were like bribing me and shit. They were like, it was so. That was when I kind of started seeing the really weird and stupid side of Hollywood. They're like, oh, find out what he likes, and oh, he's a surfer. Buy him surfboards or buy him trips to Hawaii and stuff. And I'm sitting here going, guys that I don't even really know, like, hey man, we'll throw in, and I'm just like, you're a kook. You're a kook. And then my one buddy who's an agent who I surf with all the time is Daryl Eaton, and he was a young agent at CAA. And so I call him up. I'm like, what? You're not gonna like? He's like, dude, that's not my style. I wasn't gonna do that. You're my boy. And I'm like, you can have him. Just you book Blink now. And Daryl booked. He's still their agent, and he just booked their entire world tour on this run. These shows in Australia, Daryl booked.
So he owes you. He owes you.
At least a couple tacos.
Hey, Rick.
No, I don't look at it like that. I never look for payback or nothing. He's a very close friend of mine, and I'm just very happy, that he's still in the organization, and because it's kind of a little bit of me, because I placed him there,
Yep.
And in Mark's managers, I'm stoked too, because he I interviewed him to tour manage us, and he was our tour manager, awesome tour manager. He tour managed the Foo Fighters.
Yeah, wow.
and
Wow.
and I'm really close with Chris Shiflett, and I don't know, it's just there's still some of like, like things that like, like I like seeing that. It's cool, but I'm just happy for everybody. I'm happy for the fans that they get to see Tom back. I'm happy for Tom that he's, I'm happy that Travis and Mark wrote a great record, and the tour looks like it's a big success, and it's
You,
awesome to say that was part of it.
yeah, and you were a part of it through such glorious years too, and you had such a big input as well. Do you speak to them much? You still chat with Tom or?
Uh, not so much anymore. I stopped working with the Blink camp. I think it was in 2019, somewhere around there. Um, and we were, I don't know. I posted a photo. If you go on my
I
Instagram, I
saw it. I
posted a.
saw it. Yeah,
Oh, you did?
it's a cool
Yeah,
shot. That's in Australia, right?
yeah, yeah. I don't know where that was. It might be in Melbourne or
Yeah.
something. So I posted that, and he DM'd and he was like, well, that was kind of cool. It's like, fun times. And, like, but yeah, no, I talked to Mark like last year. I ran into Travis, I don't know, a year or so ago, with, his now wife. It was really cool catching him with those guys, and, in Las Vegas. And yeah, man, we're just, I'm still working in music, and, I'm trying to, I'm going different, have different kinds of artists. Getting to work with Rome Ramirez has been so much fun, and he's such a great producer. And I'm excited to get his solo career off the ground. He just announced he's leaving Sublime with Rome after 15 years, and he's now like tripled in popularity.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
insane. His new song "Forever" is incredible. Like, check it out. It's like went viral. It's like every it's going to be like the Valentine's Day theme song for the United States.
What's the title
And
of it?
it forever.
Forever.
Yeah, Rome Ramirez.
Yeah.
And it's not white boy reggae. It's not a Sublime song, even though he's Mexican. Um,
Yeah.
it's like a kind of an R&B blues song, and that's the record he's writing with Sully right now. So I don't know. It's really cool, and I get to talk to you, and I get to have, I'm 55 now. I started doing this stuff when I was 17, and I've been doing music and promotions and stuff for my whole career. And we're now Sully, he owns a TV studio in Carlsbad, and he wants me to produce a music show. And I'm like, I'm going to rip off TRL
Yeah.
from
Oh, good
MTV days.
idea. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it was big when it was happening.
Yeah. Top of the Pops in the
Yeah.
UK. And every one that I did with all my bands, with Newfound Glories and Blinks and Pennywise, I'm gonna take all little bits and pieces of it, package it up, and I'm gonna come out with my own little show. So it'll
I
be
want that
pretty
show
neat.
here in Australia. I want to see some of your bands that you've got on your books at the moment. I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Do you
well,
reckon any of
it's
them are
an
going to come
idea.
out?
What's that?
Do you think any of them will be like coming out to Australia one day? You think?
I mean, I really want it. It's hard, man. It's like, it's hard to get these bands off the ground. I mean, they're like playing other countries. It was really difficult to get Sitting on Stacy to Mexico.
Hmm.
And I did it. I mean, it was quite a mission to get them in there. But then all of a sudden they're playing in front of 15 to 18,000 people in an arena, and watching Sitting on Stacy in Mexico City for
Crazy.
2 or 3 nights in a row, getting the entire arena to hold up their cell phones. I mean, dude, I'm like, holy shit, I still can get this done. How am I doing this? How am I pulling this off? It's just so funny, because it really is just a big scam. It's just,
There you
I don't
go.
know how I'm here. How are people still paying me to do this? I just think because it's just so funny.
Well, it's amazing. It's a
No,
great
but I
life.
love it. I love
Oh
it.
yeah, you've got to, right? You got to
It,
love it.
I
With the
do. I do. I miss my family, but I don't miss the weather that's happening right now. So I literally left at the best time ever. Like, San Diego and Southern California is just, it's all over the news. It's that, but you guys get actual hurricanes. So
Yeah,
we're
there's been
just
some
such,
cyclones up north, like Queensland, in the last
yeah,
couple of weeks.
yeah,
It's been pretty hectic.
yeah, yeah. But, I don't know.
Rick DeVoe, look, thank you so much for all your time. I don't think we even spoke about how long the interview would go for, but you just sort of just here we are. We're still here. Thank you so much for
I
giving
can't
up
believe
your
I
time.
get to talk about fun things, and I really appreciate you, you know, reaching out. Sorry it took a minute. I've been traveling and juggling a lot of things, but I really wanted to do this, and I'm always really appreciative when I get asked to do anything, because it's like, it's so cool. And if I could talk about my bands, and you know, it makes me still kind of current, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, anyone listening to the podcast right now, you got to go check out Sitting on Stacey. They're about to blow up, I reckon. They're going to come out to Australia hopefully one day, and I want to be there. I want to be there front row
help
and
me
center.
out, man.
Hey, I'll help you at that gig. I'll do whatever, because I really believe in that band. I just think they're so good.